Hi everyone, I'm Laura Tempest Zakroff, and today we're going to talk about witch books. What books? Witch books. My witch books. I know, I'm a dork, but roll with it. Today is the anniversary of the release of two of my books. Sigil Witchery came out in January of 2018, and We the Liminal came out in January of 2019. And in total, let's see, there are 7 different projects on this table, which often lends folks to, when they see this array of different books, to go, where do I start? Which one is going to be good for me? And I'd like to tackle that today for you and hopefully get you aligned with the book that is going to be most beneficial for where you are on your path right now. So let's dive into this chronologically from what book was released first. And we'll talk about a little bit about each and what you can expect from it. So my first book is The Witch Cauldron-esque. You can see this copy has been beat the crap out of because it has gone on book tour with me. And since it's the first book, it's definitely been the most beat up. The Witch's Cauldron is from the Llewellyn's Witch's Tool series. There are 7 books total in that series, all by a variety of different authors. And each of them focuses on one of the tools. Obviously, this one is the cauldron. And in this, I talk about the history, the mythology, how to use cauldrons, different types of spells, spiritual aspects of it. A lot of pushing against most common misconceptions that you'll see about cauldrons, especially dealing with, say, breaking the gender binary. Cauldron doesn't have to be a woman, female thing. I have a lot of thoughts about that, and you can read about them in this book. So great to, it's a nice little book. It's a little chunky book. It also includes some different essays by other practitioners about how they use their cauldrons, different recipes, etc. And it's just a nice little handy read, kind of a fun read, and also a good one for beginners especially. But if you just want to know more about tools and history and mythology, good one. In that same series, I co-authored The Witch's Altar with Jason Mankey. Jason wrote 2, let's see, he wrote the Athame book and the Book of Shadows, and The Witch's Altar with me. So this one is all about altars and creating sacred space, and it tackles so many of the questions that folks have with, like, what goes on my altar? Where do I put my altar? How do I not get it dusty all the time? I pay more attention to it. All of these are addressed, and it works for a variety of different paths. And again, true to the series, there are little anecdotes and stories from a variety of other different practitioners as well. So again, good handy book, gives you a good foundation of it. So we have that. And the next one that came out in the array of things is Sigil Witchery. And this book, as I said, 2018. Which seems really recent, but I started working on it in 2016. It takes a long time for books to come out. So like, haven't this been out longer? So this is all about crafting magical symbols using my Sigil Witchery method, which is an intuitive method. It doesn't use the chaos magic methods or ceremonial magic methods of either the sentence with the crossed out letters or using little squares or circles, different diagrams to create it. It is about finding the meaning of different marks and applying those into your work. So all about that, Sigil Witchery. The next book that came out in that group, there's sort of an overlap in here, is The New Aradia. This came out from Revelor Press. So far, everything else I've shown you is from Llewellyn. And this one is an anthology that I edited that is all about, as you can see here, it's a witch's handbook to magical resistance. And it's still very important. As I said, it came out at 2018, at the end of 2018, I believe. Yes, here we go. What is time? And this has over 24 different magical practitioners sharing spells and thoughts, essays, poems, etc. that all kind of deals with empowerment and really being able to use your magic to build yourself up, build your community up, and work for change. So it's a tiny book, but it's chock full of goodness. So the next project that came out is Weave the Liminal. Living modern traditional witchcraft. And I've said this a lot of different times on different podcasts, especially that this is the book I wish I had when I was first discovering witchcraft. It is my way of creating something that's a little more up to date for modern practitioners, and also particularly facing the conundrum of how do you create an authentic practice of witchcraft for yourself? Especially, you know, I'm American. I come from a long line of people who like to sleep with other people from different cultures. And it's like, where do you choose? You're living here. You're from these places. You grew up in these varieties of cultures. How do you put this all together? And so this gives you a map, if you will, a system to look at to create something. It is one that you're going to have to do the work. I explain the why this is important. It's up to you to figure out the how, because it depends on what's important to you and your personal practice, because every witch is different. So if you're just starting out, this is a good book. If you're a little further on your path or even more advanced, so many people who've been practicing for a long time said this rejuvenated their practice. It reminded them of why they are a witch and how to really invigorate the practice once again. So there are references to a lot of other books and concepts. So if you're really, really brand new to witchcraft, some of it might go over your head, but that's okay, because you can come back and reread the book. You can read what is relevant to you now and then later go, oh, now I get what they were talking about. Here we go. Because that's how books work. Like, you don't, not everything is going to be like, I finished this book in 2 days and I understand everything about it. It's like, this is something that is a long journey. So Weave the Liminal. And the book group, actually, we're doing this by release. So the next thing that came out is the Liminal Spirits Oracle, which also does have a little book. It has a, I don't know, I think this was like 10 or 15,000 words. So it's pretty also chunky in itself. And this deck is based off the concepts in Weave the Liminal. So it can be used for path crafting, figuring out your practice, but also communing with the spirits, using it for divination, meditation, and spellcraft. It is 42 cards that touches upon, I said, those concepts in Weave the Liminal, that you don't have to have read the book to be able to understand and use this deck. Of course, it comes with its own book to kind of help you bridge the gap between those. And so, first Oracle. And then we have this book, which came out in June of 2021. And that is Anatomy of a Witch. This is kind of hard to say if it's just, is it just for intermediate advanced, because there are a lot of intermediate to advanced concepts in here. But I think, again, the beginning witch can also get a lot out of this, because it's getting right into the roots of the practice and putting it into personal application. This book is, as you can see in the subtitle, a map to the magical body. Your body is your most powerful and immediate tool in your possession for practicing witchcraft. And this dives into my own system, looking at the metaphorical body where it meets the spiritual body as well as the physical body, to enhance your everyday practice, to build upon your path, just to really get a lot deeper and spiritual, without saying it's tied to any one particular system. The spirituality of the self, the self divine in here. And I kind of feel like this is the most important book that I've written, but it's as the most recent child, it's my favorite right now. And I kind of wish, like, please, everybody read this book, because I think it can be a huge game changer in your practice. So that is the most recent book to come out. And it also is one, like, you can read it quickly, but you're still going to have so much more to consider and think about. There's a lot of practices and exercises. There are sigils in this book. The ritual workouts tie into this book. So a lot to work with. And coming out this year, there is an Oracle deck that also lines up with Anatomy of a Witch. The Anatomy of a Witch Oracle. That's what we decided it'd be called. It's very simple. You can connect the dots. And then also, for those of you who love Sigil Witchery, which I know is a lot of you, there is a kind of a sibling book coming out at the end of this year called Visual Alchemy, which delves deeper into art magic, as well as really fine-tuning some of the practices that I discuss in here, so that you can get more effective in your sigil making practice, as well as considering art as a magical practice. So that gets you a nice hefty stack of books. As we say, the sexy witch stack. I probably can't make this really sexy. But look at that. Books. So that's what's going on. If you've read any of these, let me know what you think or what your favorite parts were, and questions that you also like me to tackle in upcoming videos, because I'm back. So thank you so much for listening in. I hope you find this helpful, and be sure to subscribe to see what's coming up next. Bye.